What if I told you you could spot a bad property in 60 seconds that 99% of other people couldn't see? These red flags are the most what these red flags most people don't catch, and this could save you tens of thousands of dollars. What's going on, everyone? I'm a real estate agent and contractor, and I've walked through thousands of homes and renovated even more of them. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for when you're buying a house and things that matter most, and some of the things that you can just look past and keep an eye out for, especially here in Niagara. Now, whether you're buying a house, investing, or just checking on your own home, let's jump right into it and stay sharp. Let's go. Now, here in St. Catharines and in the Niagara region, homes move fast even in a downturn market. Some listings look clean, but hidden issues can cost tens of thousands of dollars. And sometimes, if you're looking for a steal of a deal, you have to move quickly. So being able to instantly spot red flags gives you a huge leverage. I've seen buyers skip out on homes because they've noticed in the first couple minutes and went back to get better deals. But now if it's a good deal, chances are you have to move fairly quickly. I know a house that got priced very well in St. Catharines over by the Penn Center area. Priced super well, probably about $50,000 or $60,000 under market value. The house had 4 offers within 2 days, and we're in the biggest buyer's market we've ever seen, and sold firm for asking. Actually, over asking. I think it was $9,000 or $10,000 over asking, which is crazy. But those people walked through, knew exactly what they were looking for, what they were getting into. The house needed a lot of work, but they knew their numbers and they knew exactly what red flags to look for. So, guys, let's get into it. All right, number 1 on our list, one of the biggest things to look for is exterior foundation issues. Now, you're gonna wanna walk the perimeter, make sure you take a look to see if the ground is sloping into the house or away from the house. We wanna make sure that the grade is actually moving away from the house. This is gonna make sure that water is flowing away. One of the biggest silent killers of a house is obviously going to be water. Also check for visible cracking in the foundation or stair stepping in the brick if it has a brick exterior. The one thing to also look for too is if there's cracking into the foundation. Sometimes that's parching and that's just cosmetic, but if it's deeper and definitely stair steps, that could be a bigger concern. Also, you want to make sure that you're looking at downspouts and gutters and making sure they're intact. Does it run away from the house properly? And if it gets far enough away from the house, that is not flowing back into the basement. Now, if you spot any of these issues, just press pause, take some photos, because these could be a huge hidden cost that nobody sees. Also, red flag number 2, you're going to want to take a look at the roof in the attic. Go ahead, take a look at the roof line, and ask the realtor if they can find out the age of the roof for you. You can also take a look and see, are the shingles curled? Are they missing? Are there patches in certain places? You can also take a look at the chimney too and see if the chimney, sometimes I've seen it where the chimney is leaning away from the house and there's a void in between the actual house and the chimney. It's a good place for critters to get into, and also water penetration, especially if it's wind-driven rain. Now, when you get inside, definitely take a look into the attic. Take a peek if you can. Most of the time, they're in the hallways, or sometimes in older houses, they're in the closets or one of the closets. So you might not be able to get into it, but if you can, definitely take a peek. See if there's any daylight showing, the rafters are sagging, if there's any moisture signs in there, especially as well. Moisture can be seen if the roof is leaking. You can see black underneath the roof deck or underneath the plywood. These are often big signals for big repair bills, and it's something you want to factor in if you do decide to move forward with an offer. Number 3 on our list, making sure you check the crawl space of the basements. Now, crawl spaces, I've been in a couple of them. I don't want to go back into them. You could always hire a home inspector to do it if you don't want to do it, because there's a lot of creepy crawlies down there. But if it's a basement and you can just walk down there, check for moisture and drainage issues. Now, it's not the most glamorous thing, but it's the biggest and most critical thing that you can get into a house. Check the basement walls for efflorescence. It's a white powdery residue or watermarks that kind of come into typically at the bottom first foot or 2. And it's like a white powdery mildew. It's a really clear sign that moisture is penetrating through the concrete. Also, when you walk downstairs, you can actually feel it in the air. It's damp, it's musty, it's moist. It's a huge tall tale sign of past water intrusion or maybe just poor drainage, depending on the outside. Now, in this region, we get a lot of lake effect weather, and older homes have a lot of drainage issues. It's pretty common, but you got to catch them early and make sure you know what you're going into. Number 4 on our list is mechanical systems and wiring. Now, when you get into mechanical and wiring, it can be really costly, or if you don't know what you're looking for, actually, because these are hidden costs. Now, you got to take a look at the furnace and see how old it is. Typically, there's a tag on there when it was installed or when it was last serviced. You have to take a look and see, am I going to have to replace the furnace in X number of years? Typically, depending on what furnace size you have, you may be looking at a bill of between $5,000 and $8,000. Now, while you're in the basement and taking a look at these mechanical issues, you also want to take a look at the electrical panel. Any obvious upgrades or warning stickers, make sure that it's breakers and not fuses. When you take a look at the electrical panel, you don't want to see those glass little bulb things. Those are really old and outdated, and some insurance companies won't even cover you. You can also take a look and see, is there any exposed wiring, outdated breaker panels, or any DIY fixes. I had a house one time that I bought where we opened up the basement and they had 17 junction boxes just labeled in everywhere. And it was like a cheap reno that they did, and they were just splicing wires because they had these short ones and didn't buy like a full wire spool, I'm assuming. So they were just putting junction boxes everywhere. It was crazy. Now, I know these things aren't sexy like a kitchen or a bathroom, but they're going to bite you in the wallet later on if you're not careful. Now, next on our list, red flag number 5 to take a look at is layout and structural movement. Now, we're talking about structure. I'm not a structural engineer, but I'll show you signs of what to look for. When you walk into the house, does it feel off balance? Does it feel like you could just put a marble down and it's going to roll to one side every time? Now, some houses, especially older houses, 70, 80, 100 years old, will typically have already settling movements and will slope a certain way, so it's not structural, it's just been sitting there for a long time and settled. But you can also take a look and see, are the walls cracked internally? Are there signs of settling, or is it shifting recently? If there's cracks in the wall, especially stair stepping again, it could be a major concern and something definitely to take a video or reach out to a structural engineer. In normal homes, layout issues might feel odd. In older ones, movement might be hidden. Either way, it's a red flag. So something to definitely keep in mind. Now, we've gone through 5 different red flags, so what do you do about them? Okay, so if you're prepping for a house hunt, here's what you do. When you walk through with your realtor, take photos, take videos, ask the realtor to find out as much information about the house. Ask direct questions like, how old is the house? How old is the roof? How old is the furnace? Have they had any water issues or any foundation repairs? Things like that. The realtor can go back, and legally, the seller should be releasing that information if they know. Now, if there are major issues that you've come across and you're like, I love this house, but I want to know before I offer how much it's going to cost, you can reach out to a licensed contractor or an engineer or an electrician and factor in those repair costs before you make an offer. Don't do it after closing, and chances are, try not to do it during a home inspection or after a home inspection. People tend to set the bar of being like, oh, I'm going to get $500,000 for my house. And then you walk through with a home inspector and you're like, there's all these issues and I want $50,000 off. It's hard, especially on those bigger concerns or those big ticket items, because a lot of sellers will be like, you should have known before you put an offer in, and how did you not see that? And it's hard to say sometimes, but every case is different. But knowing before you're going in and making an offer, whether is the structural repair going to be a huge issue? Do I need to replace the electrical panel? Do I need to budget $15,000 to replace my furnace and AC? Things like that are definitely better known up front before you make an offer compared to afterwards. You can also budget in for an inspection and specialist, roof, structural engineer, if you're still interested but not concerned. I had one client in St. Catharines recently who was about to buy a house near the Penn Center. We had to move really quickly on this house because it was priced probably about $60,000 to $80,000 below market value. 3 days on the market, and they had 4 offers, so we need to go in aggressively. So we went in at full asking with a financing and home inspection. The realtor came back to me and was saying, hey, you're in competition, do you want to approve? At that point, there was a lot of issues with that house with regards to draining and foundation issues, but I was able to get my team to take a look at it, and we put a quote together for him of what it was going to roughly cost him to make sure that he didn't have any water penetration in the future. So we took that into account. At the end of the day, we ended up losing out on that house. But my client was like, I could have went in and upped my price and then not notice the foundation issues with the floor and the cracking of the walls and the water coming in, and how much that would have cost me. Like at that, like I think it came into about $22,000 or $23,000. I would have paid $620,000 plus that, and then he would have had no budget to actually do that work. So something to keep in mind. Also, last thing, the inspector. So spotting a bad house in 60 seconds, trust me, it isn't magic. I wish I was Harry Potter, the coolest movie ever. But it's all about observation and awareness and knowing what matters. If you're buying a home in St. Catharines or the region, let's chat. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'll walk you through the red flags and help you decide which house are opportunities and which ones could be money pits. Because trust me, there's a lot of them. Well, guys, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you got a lot of value from it. Hit the subscribe button and make sure you go check out the other videos because I'm trying to give you as much value as I possibly can. Just here, helping homeowners make smart moves. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.